AF447, go ahead.
Air France 447, contact the landing center.
Atlanta go, Atlanta go.
40 minutes before the accident, Captain Dubois is in his seat.
Air France 447, Atlantico, go ahead.
Air France 447, position in tow.
The CVR allowed us to understand who was piloting the plane, who was monitoring the parameters.
Maintain flight level 350.
Okay, will do.
First Officer Pierre-Cédric Bonin is in the right-hand seat.
So we've got a thing up ahead.
Yes, I saw that.
And the two men are heading towards a storm.
Looks like we're entering the cloud.
Normally, the crew would try to fly above a storm. But at this stage in the transatlantic flight, it's not safe to do that.
It would be good if we can climb now, eh?
Yeah?
At 35,000 feet, the air outside is too thin for the fuel-heavy plane to climb any higher. The pilots have only two choices: fly straight through the storm or try to navigate around it.
You get some sleep?
So. Well then, I am out of here.
Captain Dubois takes his scheduled rest.
First Officer David Robert relieves the more experienced captain. Robert has almost 4,000 hours more flying the A330 than the other first officer on the flight deck.
First Officer Robert is in the left-hand seat. First Officer Bonin is the pilot flying in the right-hand seat.
Investigators now know that minutes before the crash, the captain left the cockpit for his break.
So you maybe want to go to the left a bit?
But it's unclear which of the two remaining pilots is in command.
Excuse me? Can possibly go a bit to the left?
The way they acted when the captain had left the flight deck was not as if one of them was definitely in charge and the other one was definitely the supporting pilot.
The confusion over their roles becomes critical when the plane hits a column of ice crystals in the cloud. The ice crystals pound the plane. Ice envelops the pitot tubes.
The ice crystals are filling the pitot tubes. Airspeed readings are no longer valid.
Suddenly, the pilots can't be sure how fast they're flying.
That is the autopilot disconnecting.
I have the controls. What's that?
Stall warnings begin to blare in the cockpit as Bonin lifts the nose. Finally, investigators know which pilot put the plane into a stall.
First Officer Bonin is pulling back and stalling the plane.
Incredibly, neither pilot can figure out why the warning is sounding.
Officer Robert doesn't understand what's happening.
He sees the airplane going up and he sees the airspeed dropping. And he says, hey, watch your airspeed.
We lost the speed.
The pilots need to push the plane's nose down to gain speed. But Bonin inexplicably is pulling back, lifting the nose.
Okay. I'm going back down. According 2 or 3, you're going up, so go back down.
The pilots struggle to regain control of their plane. But they seem completely paralyzed by their own confusion.
They're doing everything wrong. It should be obvious what to do.
Desperate to save his 216 passengers, First Officer David Robert summons the captain. Bonin increases thrust to maximum power, but it's no use.
Do you understand what's happening?
I'm losing all control of the plane.
When they get here, they are falling at more than 60 to 100 feet per minute.
So they still have about 2 minutes left to figure out what's happening.
First Officer Robert decides to take control.
Controls to the left.
He tries to push the nose of the plane down, a key step for recovering from a stall. But incredibly, Bonin is still pulling back on his controls.
They can use their side sticks at the same time. If both go in different directions, they have a tendency to cancel each other out.
The fact that the two pilots were making different and sometimes opposite inputs to the side stick controls was pretty surprising. The two pilots were not coordinating their thinking or their actions.
90 seconds after the crisis began, the captain returns.
What the hell are you doing? We've lost all control of the airplane. We don't understand anything. We've tried everything.
Because they weren't believing the situation that they were now in, they just went back to basic instinct, which is, I want to go up. I want to stop falling. Let's pull the nose up.
Dubois scans the instruments, trying to see what's gone wrong.
What do you think? What do we need to do?
I don't know. It's going down.
The captain doesn't have enough time to assess the situation.
Well, we're at 9,000 feet.
Climb.
But I've been at maximum nose up for a while.
Finally, Dubois understands. First Officer Bonin is causing the stall by pulling the nose up.
No, don't climb.
By the time they figure it out, it's too late.
Robert can't get enough lift to recover from the stall. At 2,000 feet, sensors detect the ocean's surface and trigger new alarms.
We're going to crash. This can't be true. But what's happening?
The aircraft hits the water at almost 200 kilometers an hour.